I am very happy to be getting back to the book of Revelation. This one may end up being a short one, not intentionally, just a short segment that I'll be doing on it. But it packs a lot in there, so that should be good. So let's go ahead and get the zany professor in here. Zany, okay. So Revelation chapter 3, the church in Philadelphia, starting in verse 7. This church was, it wasn't zany, all right? But even though they may not have been zany, they would have been zany in another situation. But despite not being zany, they were doing some things right. Now, there's a lot of hay made about this church, doesn't seem to be criticized. And I don't really know what to make of that. But I'll just say that there's still a lot we can learn from this church. So just it's kind of funny because people will come out and say, this is the one church that isn't criticized in this early part of Revelation, and I'm like, oh, okay. But the fact of the matter is there may have been more than these churches. In fact, 7 churches might have stood for the whole church, right? Because the number 7, we don't know, but there were more than 7 churches. So it's just interesting that there are other churches that aren't addressed. Does that mean they're getting it right? Well, no. So what does this mean then? What am I getting at here? I'm getting at that this is a significant teaching despite God not having a direct criticism of them. Now, I say direct criticism. There is still a warning here. And it's a big deal, okay? And it's not a criticism of them, but it is a warning. Okay, so let's get to it. Verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, the words of the Holy One, the true one, who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who shuts and no one opens. Okay, so that's from Isaiah 22:22, I believe, or maybe 20:22. And that's almost a direct quote. And I think it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, it's saying, the key. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. So he has the keys, and no one comes to him. No one can go to God except by him. Now, okay, so I'll let this text speak for itself here. So in verse 8 it says, I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. So here's a door that the Lord has opened for this church in Philadelphia, and he says no one is able to shut. Now that is a perspective, right? He's offering them a perspective. Is he saying that it's a literal door? Remember, I've been harping a lot on how to take what the author of Revelation is trying to do. Like, does he want you in your mind to see a door? You see what I'm saying here? So I think obviously this is figurative language that's picking up on some Old Testament themes. And I read that passage in Isaiah. It's really fascinating, but unfortunately I just don't have time to do a full study on it. But in verse 9 it says, behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you. Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth. I am coming soon. Hold fast hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown. Now, this is really interesting because we're told he has the keys, right? That he opens the door that no one can shut, and then he warns them to endure. And that's kind of the warning that I'm talking about. It applies pretty much to every church, no matter how with it your church is or not with it your local church is, as their commitment is, their attachment is to the greater body. There's a sense in which there needs to be endurance. Now, Paul tells us that he learned to endure both through having much and having little. Now, I've talked about that earlier. That's a fascinating thing to say. So here's a church that's endured, and it might give you the impression that they have maybe endured through poverty or endured. No, it's not super specific, is it? But they've endured. And it looks like, I'm just guessing here, that they had some kind of connection to a synagogue and a connection to Jews. And there was an effort at this time to remain in the synagogues. And they're trying to I think God is trying to get them to understand that the way to this, the way to the end here, doesn't go through someone who says that they're Jewish, right? Doesn't go through someone who, they may be the head of a synagogue even. So what? That doesn't mean anything. And yet, at the same time, there's a tension here where they're called to endure. So the door is open. No one can shut it, but don't let anyone seize the crown that they've been given. Really interesting. Also, it says in 11, it says, I am coming soon. Hold fast what you have so that no one may seize your crown. You know, the commentary did a really good job on this. I wanted to see if he talked about it, because there's this impression, what Ian Paul says is there's this impression that there's quote unquote cloud watching going on. And he's trying to say, if you look right here in verse 11, I am coming soon, right? So is that cloud watching? Does that mean, they believed that Jesus was coming right then and there, and then all of a sudden it says, hold fast what you have so that no one may seize your crown. And it says, the one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it, and I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So there's a sense, and we've talked about already and not yet, right? There's a sense in which you are currently resurrected, and yet you will also be resurrected, right? So already, not yet. And there's a sense in which that's happening here, okay? So I am coming soon. But that's not cloud watching, because right after that, the following sentence, spanning several verses, is this futuristic language that we're not going to even get to until the end of the book of Revelation. And what is endurance? What is that? What does that mean to endure? And there's this sense of finality to it, where it's endure, hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown, right? So what do you have? Well, you have the crown. The one who conquers. Who's the one who conquers? Is it the one who fights and wins? Or is it the one who fights in a particular way, which God has prescribed, and wins in a particular way that God has prescribed, which could include faith unto death? So to conclude, just because it says, I am coming soon, that means they're cloud watching. If you don't know what I mean by cloud watching, this is something that really literally happened at that time, that they were sitting on top of their houses looking at the clouds waiting for Jesus to return, and they had to be corrected. The Bible shows that they were corrected and said, get down off your roofs and live your lives. Be in the world, do not be of the world. All right, so then what does it mean then? Why does it keep emphasizing, I am coming soon? I was at work. I have had times at work where they were great and times at work where they were not so great. Zany and not so zany. And there was this one night, I was having a really bad day. And I was doing a study on Revelation. Looks like the first one I ever did. And I was having just a really, really awful time. And I remember thinking, man, maybe I should just look for another job. Maybe I should. I really felt that God had given me a fruitful field of ministry at work, because it's an airport. I mean, I meet people constantly. So there's all kinds of opportunity to witness out there. It's great. And I was like, I just don't know if this is for me. I was like, I don't. And by the way, I'll tell you the stories. There's been times where I've seen God protect my ministry. I just, in short, had someone lying about me, and I just prayed. I said, God, let me be the best I can be, and just protect the ministry. Let me have the best reputation I can have. And He removed the obstacle. Immediately. It was fascinating. But this one night, I was struggling, and I thought, I just want to do something different. And from studying the book of Revelation, I realized that my attitude ought to have been one of endurance, that my attitude ought to have been one of, hey, He's coming soon. Now, Ian Paul puts it this, can't stand that phone. I am going to pull the battery out of that phone. Not zany. Not zany. Ah, all right. So sorry. I just so look at these blinds over here. Do you know I got those blinds from an Egyptian dealer for real cheap? It was amazing. But anyway, all right, I apologize. So there was a sense of endurance. where was I? I'm sorry. These are unscripted. This is live, guys. This is so there's a sense in which, so that when it says coming soon, what Ian Paul was saying is, he said the way this ought to be understood is that when you are called to endure, and I am coming soon, and this kind of language is meant to give you a sense that there's an overall sense of finality, that Jesus could come at any time. That's really what's happening here. That emphasis on coming soon is about how swiftly His return will be, not necessarily. In fact, you can see it over and over. They did not believe, and this is what Ian Paul was pointing out, they did not believe they were the final generation of Christians. And you can see that right there in the book of Revelation and in Acts. So then what did they mean by coming soon? I am coming soon. What did that mean? That meant to endure. It's exactly what that meant, right? Even though coming soon meant swiftly, anytime. So it's asking you to have a particular perspective. When Jesus returns, it's going to be really fast. Now, they were promised in the passage we read. I know this is going on way longer than I said. The passage we read, they were told they were going to be protected from a trial to come, right? That the world would be put through testing. Fascinating. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that unfolds more as we get through the book of Revelation, if I recall correctly. So, all right.